when I went upstairs.
Another ready.
One of these.
But they were live, yeah.
Right,
Thanks. Thanks for sending the presentation.
of course.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm calling to order the City of Salem Solid Waste Committee for today, Thursday, November 13th, 2025, to order. Will the committee members please introduce themselves?
I am Mickey Varney, City Councilor.
Irving and Brown, City Council.
Linda Nishioka, City Councilor, Ward 2 and Chair, and Councilor Gwynn is unable to be with us this meeting, but we do have a quorum. And so now we'll go ahead and ask staff to introduce themselves.
I'm Ryan Zink, the franchise administrator.
Josh Eggleston, Chief Financial Officer.
Kelly Leinenbach, Budget Manager. Shannon Thomas, Admin Analyst.
And I'm Tim Joshi and Martin, Operations Technology Manager.
Thank you.
Juliana is also online.
And I'm sorry, who is?
Juliana.
Oh, Juliana.
Hello, Juliana Douglas, Climate Action Plan Manager.
All right. And is Greg a guest?
Greg is with Valley.
All right. Perfect.
A
Okay.
guest, yes.
All right, thank you. So have we had the opportunity? I did review the minutes from October 16th. Do I hear a motion if you are ready?
I move approval of the minutes from October 16th.
Second.
Thank you. And all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Good, thank you. That passes. Public comment, we do not have anybody signed up. See. So I don't see anyone in the public that wants to talk. So we are 2 action items. Yay, we're on the
Okay.
roll. We are really rolling.
We are.
We're moving through it. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and where did I put the Zoom on here? There it is. Yeah, I'm gonna share my screen. And we'll get started. Yep. All right. Thank you for being here for the City of Salem Solid Waste Committee on November 13th, 2025. All day. So as you saw under the, you were able to preview the agenda that was sent out on Monday. I tried to put in there the highlights of the action item for today, which is a recommendation to City Council to adopt solid waste rates effective January 1st, 2026 and January 1st, 2027. These include a number of things, and some of this might be a little bit of a surprise. We'll back into it and we'll go through the explanation of that, but I wanted to set the stage first. So at this time, we are not asking for an increase for Marion County for either 2026 or 2027. This may, however, be revisited in early 2026
Okay.
when Marion County, we're anticipating an increase in Marion County disposal rates, but those have not been approved yet. Those are not effective yet.
Have they been sort of determined?
No.
But okay.
No. And so Brian May is here from Marion County. We want to get into more of that discussion. But we'll walk through kind of what this initial proposal is, and then we can discuss from there too. But please ask questions as we go on. So just laying out Marion County, no rate increases or adjustments anticipated for this 2 years at this time. The one change here is we're looking to add 95-gallon residential service at $56.40 per month. On the Salem Polk side, we are looking at a increase in for 2026 for carts is 3.7%, which is mostly residential. There's some commercial in there, but mostly residential. Container, which is commercial, at 9.1%, and the drop box at 0.7%. 2027 increases, which will be effective on January 1st of that year. Carts, 4.6%, container, 5.6%, and Dropbox at 3.2%. Again, adding 95-gallon residential cart service, which would be $47.27 per month. This is including and after the January, the increase that would be effective, that 3.7% effective January 1st. So that's on top of the rate that we had discussed for 2025, or within that context.
Okay.
Within the Dropbox section, and this was going back to a conversation we have, and I have some slides, but we want to revisit that. Part of the reason why Dropbox is significantly lower in bulk, the Salem bulk side, than what was initially asked for by the haulers, is we're looking at or asking to adjust the delivery fee from the current $47.65 to $75. And that aligns that specific cost, or that rate with the cost of delivery. Similarly, we're looking to add a pass-through markup. That's what I'm trying to say. Pass through, I forgot a word on there, markup. Disposal cost pass-through markup to the customers of 17.57%. And again, I have that explanation. We can walk through some of that detail again if you would like. So that is in a single screen here, what the recommendation is. Any questions on that before we move forward, or do you want to walk through or talk through any of the specific elements of this?
So does this, so these requests for the cart markup, I guess it's really $47 for the 95-gallon under Polk County, but Marion is doing slightly higher. Okay.
Right.
And is this an effort to get things closer, or this was just an effort to see the markup for what Polk County needed to do?
Let's look at that screen.
Let's look at that screen.
Okay.
Let's look at that screen.
All right, let's go ahead and so if we also just briefly, these were the rates that we had discussed last time we walked through the rates. However, putting the Marion County stuff on hold.
Okay.
And for Polk County, this is what the impact would be to customers for typical 35-gallon for cart, or the 2-yard container, or the 20-yard box. So 2026, looking at like $1.20 per month in for Polk County. In 2027 would be $1.50.
Okay, so it basically is just under 4% and then like 4.6 increase.
Right. Okay. So if let's go down, the 95-gallon. Okay, so very similar screen slide to what we saw a few months ago.
Yes.
Where in that first box, these are the context is 2025 rates. So the current rate in 2025 for that 65-gallon on the Marion County side is $49.40. We were targeting a $7 increase over 65 for the 95-gallon, which put it at $56.40.
Okay.
Similarly, on the Polk County side,
So
65-gallon being $38.50, a $7 increase on top of that was $45.50.
so just doing the increase the same, and so they're still slightly different in the cost of it.
That 3.7% increase on top of the $45.50 is the $47.20.
Excuse me for just a second. Dr. Brown, I'm unable to see you on the screen. So if you have a question at any point, please just speak up, because I don't see if you have your hand up. Okay. All right. Thank you. Just speak up. So go ahead, Ryan. Thank you. Oh.
Can I ask a quick question? I was thinking about it when we first started through here, and is there an approximate time frame when Marion County may set its rates? I mean, have you heard anything? Will it be within the next year, do you think?
Certainly within 2026. I'm anticipating that we'll see it either first or second quarter.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
I think the thought was first quarter. But maybe that's gotten pushed back.
No, that's okay, that's okay. I just was, if someone asked me that, I was just like thinking.
Brian, what's your crystal ball saying?
Yeah.
I have one.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Right now, you're just bowling with it.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
The ball is, there's a ball.
Seem to keep us straight.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So thank you for that screen. And I think again, it's important for I feel it's important for customers to have the opportunity of choosing if they have two 65 carts and want to change that to a single 95 and be cost effective and hopefully reduce their overall amount. I encourage that. So I know that we've had some guests that have not always seen that same opportunity the way I'm seeing it, but I'm hoping that it will, for those recognizing that they're wanting to reduce, but at the same, reduce their costs, but at the same time, do that, this gives them an opportunity. Yes, please, go right ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Thank you for mentioning that. And I do support the 95 gallon. I remember in the past, bringing up, should we limit it to one? Did we discuss anything about maybe a difference if you wanted to have two? We didn't talk about setting anything like that.
I would say that there might be opportunities in the future.
Okay.
This is not as saying that you have to limit it to just one. So, I mean, right now we can see that it's two, but I've also asked Ryan to review the climate action plan and maybe to bring forward a policy that kind of tries to talk about a goal of zero or reducing waste. And I think that that's going to get with the newer recycling model that we're trying to bring forward, we can combine sort of that, like increase your organic waste and use that bin and increase your recycling so that you're using that bin so that we can try to start working on reducing trash.
Right.
And so I could see that if we say 95 gallons are available, if then we start to see, wow, there's so much more trash coming in.
Right.
Should we put some mandates on how many carts? We also have to look at the fact that we don't know how many might be in that household, or maybe it's
Right.
a middle housing opportunity and it's one trash bill for a fourplex or something.
Right. Hold it. Yeah, I just wanted to say, because I know there were some concerns about us increasing the size and increasing the amount of trash. So I was just thinking of the other direction, how we can make this more encouraging customers to reduce.
Yep.
Okay.
If I may share, I
Please.
think one thing that rather than limiting what folks' options are, I think the more we make transparent the existing options that we do have in terms of making folks aware of how to use their mixed organics cart.
Yes.
As we have more opportunity to recycle and people are getting more of that, the message out of what can go in the recycling bin versus in the trash bin. And my hope is that the need for increased trash size will automatically decrease because there's already an incentive to go to a smaller cart.
Yes.
As you know, so as that need decreases, hopefully then we'll see that overall decrease in the cart size and people subscribing to the larger carts.
And it might even be the narrative that the haulers provide their customers, saying that, now you have the opportunity to, if you have, a need for a 95 gallon, it's there, but again, kind of trying to refocus that, use your blue cart and your green cart. And
Yep.
so I think try to get that message, however we get that message out will be important, and hopefully people have opportunities to consider how they can reduce how much trash and what their actual bill is as they decrease their cart size.
Right, right. No, I agree.
Dr. Brown has a question.
Dr. Brown. I
Oh,
can
thank
see
you, Madam. Oh,
Go.
you're fine. Hi, thanks, Madam Chair. You know, the only thing I wanted to add, because I like what you said earlier about the climate action plan, like bringing this in and how does it impact that? So Mr. Zink, is that something that this group will talk about down the road with the climate action plan, or is that a completely separate conversation?
So I think there's, there's an element of, in the climate action plan for looking at zero waste. Now, it's been something that's brought to this committee a couple of times from some local environmental groups. And so I think that is something that this body, and we reference that in the council policy, the solid waste council policy, and that may be a future item that would be added to the policy in terms of, how do we implement something that is similar to or follows along that general idea of zero waste, which, as you know, isn't zero waste literally, but there's concepts that get us to a place of possibly less waste or more awareness of the waste that we produce to help encourage less waste production in the future.
Thank you. Any other screens you'd like to share with us, or about the rates and because we have seen this before, so thank you for the reminder.
So if I, let's see here.
I like that. Whatever, diagram, picture, whatever.
Yeah, to show all the carts. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So going back to this kind of main screen, so we talked about sort of the changes. So the 3.791, 0.7, the 26, 27, those are the same rates we saw a couple months ago. We talked about the addition of the 95 gallon, both for Marion County and Polk County. And then we have the adjustments to the drop box, both the delivery and then the pass-through markup for customers on the disposal side. Is there any additional?
So let's get back to the drop box.
Sure.
I know that you're needing to increase this partly because the haulers were recognizing that it was not cost effective at the prices. Like they found that it was causing them a loss.
So
That's the way I understood it.
Yeah, so let's get to that for just a second. So here, this was I'm looking for the best way to describe it to the city council when we get to that point here. So
Okay.
it'll be in a couple of weeks. It's kind of.
Are we going for December 1st?
We're going the 24th.
Oh, but then, you
Yeah.
have less than 2 weeks.
Less than 2 weeks. Well, it's like a week and a half.
There you go.
It's coming up very quickly. The issue that came up is, and it kind of was brought to the surface when we're looking at the difference between how Marion County rates for drop box are determined versus the rates for the Polk County side. And I was noticing a pattern over the years that the Polk County rates, or what was being asked for in terms of the increases, just seemed to be that there was something going on behind the scenes that was it seemed out of balance. And so the delivery fee addresses some of that. But the bigger issue is that the rate that city council adopts for Dropbox in Polk County addresses just the service fee and not the disposal. So
Just
the service fee, meaning it's the rental of the box, it's the cost of the staff
Taking it there.
and taking the box there and the delivery and all that. And if you will, the transportation of the box. But once the actual cost of disposal, the cost of disposing that at Coffin Butte, that was a direct pass-through. So if it cost $200 at the dump, that $200, it cost the hauler $200 at the dump, that $200 was passed directly back to the customer. However, that $200, both from an expense side and a revenue side for the haulers came through as an expense of $200 and a revenue of $200. The hauler, however, is paying franchise fee on their revenue of that
okay.
$200. Is also paying a cat tax on that $200.
Oh.
And there's no margin. There's the 10% margin that we allow for the hauler. So that's kind of what you're looking at on
Okay.
the middle part there. So on the left is, let's say for this 30-yard box, it's $300. Let me back up one
The
screen.
cat tax is a state thing, right?
Yes, yeah. So here's an example. We have this is loosely based on a 30-yard box, where the haul fee, that service fee, is $300. Then there's a franchise fee and a cat tax on top of that. There's $300 is the revenue side. There's a cat tax of $21, franchise fee of $21, cat tax of $1.71, and this is a loosely $250 for the rest of it, wages, equipment, fuel, etc. So a total expense of $271.71. That gives for just that haul fee a franchise margin of roughly 9%. Once you apply the disposal on that, and this is based on assuming a ton per box is about 6.5 tons, at a cost of $53. That you see it as a negative income of $26, so a negative percentage there. When you look at the net of those two, that it nets out to almost 0%. They're making
Yeah.
almost nothing
Yeah.
on that.
And the franchise.
And so when we tried to correct that, and previously when we've tried to correct that, that's what this next screen shows, is where a 23% increase would be required to get us back up to a 10% total line of service margin.
Okay.
However, we're not correcting the internal imbalance between the haul fee and the disposal fee.
Okay,
And so what we're doing now, what the proposal is to balance that so that on that disposal, there's built in that franchise fee, cat fee, or the cat tax, that's
yeah.
redundant, the cat, and then also the margin. And so under the same scenario, the haul fee has a 9% margin, the disposal here has an 8.5% margin, so overall it's an 8.8% margin. In order to get that to a perfect 10%, only requires a 3.2% increase overall.
okay.
So I don't wanna,
Did you have fun playing with those numbers?
oh yeah, I don't wanna underrepresent the impact to
Yeah.
the customer. This is still an impact to the customer of essentially an 18% increase overall to a customer. And so, but it's a one-time adjustment to rebalance, and then those future increases. And as we've noticed, so this is a correction in 2026, but then when we get to 2027, that Dropbox increase is 3.2%.
Yeah, so we're just trying to get it to a point to be catch up for just sort of the average. Sort of
Right.
increase.
And then that 3.2 is accounting for other inflationary factors, but isn't having to account for that imbalance between the disposal and haul fee anymore.
Do you know, and if anybody has questions, do you know, the customers that would be returning on a regular basis, that's gonna say, whoa, what happened? Would they be primarily like local contractors that are doing work, or who else? Because typically, if you're gonna be calling in a cart, like as a residential customer, it's not gonna be like every month or every few months, you know, it'd be like maybe once every 5 years, or, you know, I don't know how often people do a major clean out. But I'm just wondering what typical reoccurring customers they will notice this.
Right, so those that would be feeling this impact on a more regular basis would be like those contractors. Or someone who is, maybe they have a regular clean out or something like that, but yeah, it's most likely going to be contractors who are hiring these boxes for a job.
Okay. So that's who we'll hear the complaints by.
potentially. And though that cost would be then passed on to their customers. Whoever,
Very good point,
Yeah.
yes. Any questions, Dr. Brown? Go ahead.
So with that passing on to the contractor to basically us, when it comes time for you to share this with the community, I realize you're probably going to do that like on a city council night. What's another way that we're going to share this with the community besides the neighborhood association and besides the staff report? Have we figured that part out yet?
so there's a public hearing notice that will be going out likely tomorrow. But this information primarily is shared, again, like you say, through the public hearing on the 24th. But then also there's a notification that goes out to all customers. It'll be in December. That notification will go out to all customers that are impacted.
Got it. Thank you. I was just curious. I kind of remember hearing you say that, but I just want to make sure that I heard it correctly.
Yeah. So one other piece of information I would, I guess, to kind of sum up this whole issue with the drop boxes and the Polk County side is that this is essentially equalizing between Marion County and Polk County how the service fee and disposal and all that is treated from a cost of service analysis, cost of service perspective. So previously, Polk County actually had that was being underfunded from a service perspective, and they were getting a break. So this is equalizing the services across the river.
And this will, for those contractors that do this on a regular basis, it's going to be in a line item or included in the invoice that the customers have. If they're remodeling their house, it will, when you're remodeling your house, this would be like nothing. This would be a small line item that is included because of the hauling fee of the cart. So it's really just making sure everyone is aware of it. But my guess is there won't be necessarily a big. We'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see in a
we'll see.
public hearing. We'll
Yeah,
see. But
Never know.
anyway, so thank you for that explanation.
So I would be looking for a motion to recommend
Adopt solid waste rates.
to Salem Council, we adopt basically that first line. And then if you want to say that includes basically what's on this page.
Or staff recommendation.
What's that?
Or staff recommendation.
Or staff recommend, yeah. Staff recommendation.
So would either of my fellow counselors like to make that motion, or do you want to put it on the back of the chair?
I will. Let's see, I wanted to say, I move that we recommend to the Salem City Council that they adopt the solid waste rates effective January 1st, 26th and January 1st, 27th per staff recommendation.
So moved.
Great, thank you. With the raise of hands or an aye, nay, go ahead and vote. Aye.
Hi.
Thank you. Motion passes. You're ready to roll for the 24th.
Thank you. Right, I'm going to stop sharing for just a second.
And thank you. I wanted to say, Ryan, thank you so much for all the prep that you have provided. We've discussed this fairly regularly. We knew it was coming, and I appreciate all of the background information and early discussion. So it's not something that we have to sit and consider. You know, we've had time to think about it.
We have, and that's the only concern I think about is those that haven't had the time that we had and thinking about how I'm going to explain this. For instance, if I'm thinking about a graphic or something I could throw together to give to the neighborhood association, you know, for West Salem, except something that's easier to understand it or some bullet points. I'm just thinking about how I'm going.
Especially for West Salem.
For West Salem.
Neighborhood Association, because that's where this is where the dramatic impact is. So my guess is,
And
We can talk about,
yeah, I
about
guess it's
that,
Brian
you
will
know,
be.
one or two slides or just some informations that can be put on the neighborhood association webpage, for example.
Great.
Okay.
All right, well, good request, and I think you'll have support and you'll be able to get that done. Any other comments, Dr. Brown, for that? Okay. Ready to rock and roll on the next thing?
yes, shall I move on to the next
Yes,
bit? Okay.
please,
So
please.
the next management updates, upcoming events, I have NA, there aren't really any events per se coming up. I will just let you know, I will be at the South Gateway Neighborhood Association this evening. Talking about cycling changes, so I'll be bringing my flyers and handing those
Is
out.
that 4 and 7 or just 4? Ward 4 and 7, do you know?
I think it's two. I know there's two counselors listed on there.
Okay, I bet it's
I
4
think
and
it's-
7.
I think it's 3 and 4.
3 and 4, okay.
3 and 4.
South Gateway, all right. More to the east than to the west.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So I'll be there this evening. The next item, just a brief update. So the Marion County Materials Management Advisory Council was held on October 29th. Both myself and Chair Nishioka attended. They had a lengthy discussion, had a great presentation and really more of a brief discussion on the recycling contamination elements that are recommended by Department of Environmental Quality. The motion towards the end was to ask the haulers to come back with some recommendations at the next meeting of how they would recommend that that body move forward with recommendations on how to meet the requirements for contamination reduction. So looking forward to that presentation and that information at our next MMAC meeting.
And then we had at our council meeting on the consent calendar, just to agree, talking about those same standards.
Yes.
So Salem went ahead and approved that and
Yep,
moving
the
forward.
contamination reduction goals.
The goals, and
Yes.
now the haulers are gonna try to help figure
Help
out,
us meet those goals.
help us, they're gonna have to work pretty hard, aren't they? And also how to sort of educate, like I think that was gonna be part of it, how are they going to do it and how are they going to get that information out to the public?
Yep. So looking forward to their recommendations on that. The next and last item on our, really the last item on our agenda,
Oh my goodness, look at us.
I will share my screen one more time. There we go. And there we go. It's bulky waste and special items. So this general topic has come up in a couple of different, several different venues or conversations, as I
Yes.
understand it. We've talked about it a little bit here, but I wanted to set the stage a little bit with talking about what services are currently available for bulky waste and special items. And then maybe talk about some of what seem to be some of the related issues. Then maybe open the floor to conversation and see how we might want to move forward, if there's any general directions or thoughts. And I have one suggestion that I learned recently that I thought might help, but we can start working on those. Maybe make that one of our first things we work on this next year as part of our
Overall goals.
overall goals, right? So within our rate schedule, there is special items for pickup of appliances, carpet, furniture, water heaters, etc. As you see there, there's generally a per item rate. Then there's if it takes a long time for those items to be loaded up, there can be, if it's more than 15 minutes, then there might be a labor charge attached to that.
Okay,
Similarly, general waste, there's a per yard or by weight, again, plus the labor. There is kind of, these are all very similar here, but also a junk removal. So if someone needs their garage cleaned out, or there's a pile of whatever in their backyard, they can call up their hauler and say, hey, I've got this, and they'll usually send some pictures back and forth and get an estimate of what that is. Each of our haulers provide this service. Again, there's truck and labor hours plus the cost of the disposal. Or with the drop boxes or temporary containers, those can be brought out to a customer and they can self-load those. So there are options to our customers citywide for the handling of bulky waste or special items. What I'm recognizing is that it may not be well known that those
I agree.
services are available and are
That's
offered.
by the haulers.
Right. And so I think folks will get onto Google and go junk hauling.
What do I do with
And
my
how do I,
couch here?
what do I do? And
Yeah.
possibly the first search result might not be their local hauler. It might be one of the third-party haulers or junk haulers or illegal haulers, those that are operating. Some know they're operating illegally, some may not. It's a guy with a truck and puts a decal on the side and says, I'm Bob's Junk Hauling and I'm gonna start a business because he saw that it was, a YouTube video that this is something I can do.
I have a truck.
Without understanding the local regulations around that. And so from staff perspective, and we worked with Marion County and actually worked with some of the state associations on trying to tackle that from a regulatory side. And it's difficult. Now we've worked with our code enforcement to try to address it from that side. And code enforcement, they have to lay eyes on, they have to see it happen
Oh, okay.
for them to be able to take action. They can't just pull a picture or the hauler driving by and saying, oh, hey, look, can't take just their word for it. They have to actually lay eyes on it themselves. So from a code enforcement perspective, it can be difficult. So some of the related issues is with when folks don't know that there are options. We see couches on the curb, or up in my neighborhood, top of the street, there's someone that has a recliner out there that a free sign on it, and it's been out there for about a week, and now they're putting a tarp on it to keep the rain off of it, hoping that someone's gonna pick it up.
Really, really free.
Really want
I should have put a $20.
it.
That's exactly right. Oh, it's worth something.
And so, then when someone doesn't pick it up, sometimes we may get, hey, I don't want to pay whatever, it's a $30 minimum at the transfer station. I don't want to pay $30. So, hey, there's an open field. I'm going to toss it over there. Maybe someone will pick it up. So we have some of the illegal dumping issues.
It's a $30 fee minimum or by weight.
Or
Yes.
phones at the 460 pounds, yeah, for
Okay.
$30.
Plus.
Okay.
So if you go over,
If you go over, then it's, by weight.
Okay, thank you.
always try to get to the 30.
Yeah.
Everybody does.
Yeah, because I've taken things out there. I didn't realize that. And they weigh my car and I don't think I'd hardly made a difference, but. Okay.
So we have.
Question, Mr. Zink?
Yes, please go ahead. Thank you.
So, in Ward 5, especially in some northeast, like for our Four Corner, there's typically like quite a bit of trash in a variety of places, near apartments, on the street, Portland Road, you name it. So my question is, how are we going to educate our community? Because obviously, I tend to believe that, some folks, their lives are just busy. And so I don't know, for me, there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect with, what we're offering, what we can do with our available services, but being able to share that information with folks who could be in need. I don't always see those connecting. And so that's where my first question is. And because I would love to figure out how to kind of help that, because again, there's a lot of trash in places I would love to see cleaned and just moved. So how are we going to connect those dots to make sure that we get the information into the hands of those families or communities actually need it?
I think that's a great question. I think that's part of the struggle. You know, if we look particularly at multifamily
Right.
residents, where the account holder is not the trash producer.
Right.
And so you have, you know, a move out and with an apartment complex, and all the stuff that they decided not to take with them ends up being piled up all around the outside of the dumpster that, you know, that won't fit in there. And so that
Correct.
becomes an issue. You know, it ends up becoming the liability of the landlord, and they probably have to pay extra to have some of that hauled away. I think that's a great question. I don't know that I necessarily have an answer for
Right.
that, but I think at least starting with you know, so I guess there's two aspects. One is that I've been thinking about these over the last couple months. Our haulers have. Sorry, let me back up a little. When I've talked to our haulers about this, they say, well, we don't advertise, we don't tell people about these other services because advertising costs are not an allowable expense as part of our cost of service analysis, because they are the incumbent provider, right? There's only one provider. And so from a curbside service perspective, it doesn't make sense for them to advertise their services, but that leaves out a whole host of other kind of specialized services the customers may not know about. So that brings up the question, should that be an allowable expense, you know, up to some reasonable amount?
Is
Mm.
allowable
Well-
expense determined by us?
Yes,
by the
and
franchise?
our council.
So yes,
policy.
I think we should be talking about that.
Okay.
So sorry, Dr. Brown.
Well, and Mrs. Zink, I appreciate you clarifying this, and I would love to hear input from, Councilor Varney and Councilor Nishoka, because with this disconnect, and I heard what you said about, advertising, marketing, because obviously once you advertise it, you could get more trash. It's my concern is really twofold, right? Because we want affordable housing, and we have many affordable housing complexes and more being built in Northeast Salem and in other parts of the city. So we want affordable housing, but we don't provide them with the mechanisms to get rid of the trash. Here lies the problem. So I would say that's problem one. And then problem two, I go back to our strategic plan. Although the city manager is not here in this particular setting, we go back to what? Clean, right? Clean, livability, safe Salem. So there's that clean component that we're all advocates for, but I'm not exactly sure if we're following through on how to keep it clean when it comes to educating all of our constituents, especially those in affordable housing, that the city has a huge responsibility in approving those buildings.
Good point. I appreciate it. And I think that what we're probably going to be talking about in the future might be that we allow marketing to be part of the allowable expenses that the haulers would have, so that they could do that work without feeling it's costing them too much, because that's not included in. It would be coming out of their 8 to 12%, basically.
Right.
And so it's an expense that we're not including in the allowable. So I think what we'll be doing is talking about that. I also am not sure that all the trash that you're referring to is that it may not all be coming from the affordable housing. It might be, but maybe not all of it. So
Correct.
We're trying to solve a big problem, but let's see if there's mechanisms that we can at least improve some of it.
So another element of advertising, I was thinking about options that we have, is that, from a City of Salem PIO social media perspective, generally we don't advertise for the businesses within our community, right? Because that can be, well, why are you advertising for this business and not this business? And that's not the role of the city to advertise for the businesses in our community, right? However, our haulers are contracted by the city to provide a service on behalf of the city. It's the city's responsibility to provide garbage service to our residents, and we do that through our haulers. And so I would suggest and possibly advocate that the city take a role, a responsibility in helping to inform our community of, again, what services are available through our haulers.
That's,
Yeah, I think that's.
yeah, I think that sounds like a
Education.
conversation that city leadership team might need to kind of evaluate, or we here, this should evaluate and then bring it forward.
I mean, I think it's a policy choice. I think city staff would turn around and look to this committee for.
Advice.
But I mean, the only thing I would say is, I think it's appropriate and maybe with a cap. Just for, so you don't have one hauler.
Right.
Expending as compared to another one. So
It's more, the service is available, contact your individual haulers.
Right.
Something to that effect. Now, what I could also see is that we would also need to do that for other franchises that may be under your purview if there's a similar interface.
So we don't have any other
So it's
exclusive
just-
franchises. Well, the other ones would be like PG or Sam Electric.
Okay, so this would be the only one.
This would be the only one.
Okay, so I think that this is worthy of us discussing as a committee and seeing if we feel that we should bring it forward to council for us to be an informative, I guess, marketing or somehow informative that then would share that with the haulers, so that the haulers could then be who they contact. But I think I think that would be worthy, so. Do you want to do that here now, or should we have that be
So-
an agenda item that we would discuss?
Well, for the future, I think it is something to bring that information together, and I agree with Councilor Brown in terms of our Clean Salem initiative. It
Yep.
ties right into
Ties right
that
in.
directly.
So, good suggestion, thank you. And I honestly, at the last neighborhood chairs meeting, it was brought up, how come we can't have a collection of things that we just, big things that we put at our curb? Can't somebody come and pick that up? And then there was a lot of discussion about that. That the city had to do something about that. It's interesting. Yes,
Like,
Brian May is going to speak.
I recently got to attend the Association of Oregon Recyclers Conference,
Yes.
and the bulky waste topic was brought up.
Oh, so it's out in the community conversation.
Yeah, and the interesting part is they didn't want to call it bulky waste. Kind of that point of the community, how do we get rid of good things? So they wanted to kind of rebrand it as an opportunity to get rid of big bulky items. And then they actually used a third-party nonprofit that went in front of the garbage truck and cleaned all the good items for resale and repurpose and reduce that waste structure. So increase recovery and returns.
So that, and is that happening in some other cities?
It's happening in some jurisdictions in the Portland area. Yep.
Oh, maybe we need to find out about that and how we could ask or incorporate it.
Is there still a fee?
I think it's just part of the franchise. It's kind of, it's what we used to in the past call a bulky waste day. It was just part of the cost associated, like some communities do like a household hazardous waste event.
Yes.
It's just calculated into there so many dollars. Do the same thing.
So but the cities are doing this or organizing it with the haulers or with organized them all? Okay. Wow, I'm sorry, it sounds like you've got more work. Nitin, you had something to say?
Yeah, I was just wondering if there was an opportunity for the account holders or the residents who are account holders with the haulers to get one item a year free. And if you wanted to get rid of more, then you would be able to do that still at the curbside at $40 $30 is what, if you would take it yourself. But if you were getting rid of one and you wanted to tack on more, you can do that once a year with the haulers. And that would incentivize not only the very fact that you're not dumping it somewhere along the street, but more important, you can get rid of more stuff at one go with this caveat that you have to be an account holder and you get one item free. You use it or don't?
Yeah, and I think that, again, we need to speak with our haulers and make sure that that's something they feel would be cost effective at that price, because somebody would have to pick it up. I think it's a great idea. We just have to see how feasible it is. I was also at that meeting, I was saying, well, there might be opportunities where a cart is dropped off by the haulers that could be for the neighborhood or the street. But then again, they'd have to share that cost. So how do you do that? It was like, how would you share that cost? And so I think we need to speak to the haulers to see if there might be
Yep.
a cost-effective mechanism or recycling mechanism that could be incorporated in this. And I think that would help some of the things that you're talking about, Dr. Brown, in the sense of large items and things that get left by people that are moving from one place to another, and it just ends up sitting there forever because nobody's managing it.
Yes, and I agree. And I think everyone in the room has already said it. From mattresses to to big lazy boy chairs. Those things that when they're put on the curb, and the moment a rain comes in, no one wants it because it's all wet. And then it typically just sits there and sits there and sits there. So I'm just struggling with, how do we keep Salem clean?
Yeah.
When we still got so many barriers to keep it clean. Does that make sense?
It does. There was a suggestion earlier that maybe somebody put a price tag on it and then more interest would be ready to pick it up.
You know what? I think I heard that. I think the CFO, somebody said $20. So I did hear that.
Maybe you need to have signs in your car that say only $20 and you can drop it off.
You know what? I'm tempted, but I'll pass on that. I'll pass. And one other final little piece I want to throw in. I know, Mr. Zink, you said that you're attending, I think, a neighborhood association tonight. Was that the plan?
Yes.
So Highland also has their meeting, and I would be in favor of being able to share what you're going to be sharing. I can share it electronically. That way, the chair of Highland can send it out to all of the residents in the Highland neighborhood, and I can also get some hard copies. I just want to make sure that I help with getting the communication out, because I don't want folks to miss it.
Absolutely. So I'll send you electronic version. And also Irma, the neighborhood coordinator, has a stack of them, and I think she's also helping to get those out to different events and to some of the neighborhood association chairs.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for being proactive.
Yes, very much.
So that's unless we have more discussion on the bulky waste. Well, I guess one thing I will say, kind of speaking to Naten's comment and then some of the other suggestions, I think there are a number of different strategies, if you will, of how to address the bulky waste issue, or usable good waste, good items, good things, good items. And so I think it comes down to, what works for our community, what is cost effective, it's easy, I think, sometimes to say, oh, we'll just have the haulers do it. I know in some communities, I talked with Travis, who works with Republic Services here recently, who's part of our waste reduction communication group. And they recently held a quote unquote bulky waste event in Silverton. And so I was talking to him about kind of how they manage that and some of the logistics of that, what that might look like here in Salem. And they do that for a number of their communities like Oswego and Silverton and some others. But Republic is the only hauler. They only have the one hauler, and it's a relatively small community that they do this in. And so I'm thinking about how do we apply that and how do we,
See, all the
make that work for the city of Salem, and how, how would we, how could we apply that to what we have here? And so one thing that I did learn, and I think this might be a great suggestion to bring back, maybe when we consider rate adjustment for Marion County in first quarter, that might be something we could bring back and make an amendment to our rates structure. But they have in some of the communities, rather than listing out all the different items and how much each one item is, they categorize it more by size. So there's the small items, medium size, large, and extra large. Of course, then anything with Freon, refrigerators or air conditioners, that's separate, because there's have to deal with that, or anything that has fluids in it, like some watercraft or Ski-Doo or something like that. I was surprised at some of the things that ended up at the bulky waste event. Talked about someone bringing a Ski-Doo in the back of their Subaru. And
Oh my gosh.
unload that. But anyway.
All right.
And so maybe there's some, so that inspired me that maybe there's at least some ways that we can simplify that special items list to make it more palatable and understandable to our public. So that's something I would like to explore before we start advertising all what we have available.
Yeah.
Let's try to maybe simplify that message before we get that message out. So that's something I'd like to explore with this committee.
Great, thank you. And yes, before we start saying you can do all these things, it's probably a good idea to have all the things organized first.
So anyway, that's all I have for.
Ooh, new solid waste could be so exciting. Okay, well, I think that's it.
Scheduling, sorry.
Scheduling for next month?
Next meeting, we are not anticipating a meeting in December unless the committee would like to.
Because you can move all of this forward. So are my fellow committee members okay with not having a meeting in December? Or you just really want to have one? You're okay without?
I think the next one would be in
January.
January 15th would follow the same pattern.
Perfect. Okay, so we get to take a holiday month. So yes, thank you for asking. I don't think we need
I have one thing I wanted to add before we
adjourn. You go right ahead.
Just a comment or whatever. I noticed when I was in the Denver airport, I was thinking about messaging. And on there, they have it divided into their waste containers and their recycling, obviously. But on their waste containers, they're just saying waste, it says landfill and it says recycle. And I really like that messaging idea because it made me really think about that whole concept of what I was putting in each one.
And that's great. And hopefully people are guided by it. What probably happens more often than we want is contamination.
Well, I don't know. No, it's just the messaging of
Yeah,
where
no,
that
it
waste
is.
is
You're
going.
absolutely right. Yeah. And I see that more and more. And in fact, the manufacturers of those containers are really trying to divide it out too.
Mhm.
And sometimes it'll even be more specific, like on recycling, it tells you newspapers in this.
Oh, sure. But just that whole concept
Landfill,
of those, because sometimes we think, oh, waste, but not really think about where we don't, but.
Yeah.
A lot of people just think, oh, waste, it just
Yeah.
goes to whatever and don't worry about it. But when it's specifically.
Thanks for recognizing that and bringing it up. But I think it's, good idea. That in a form is training. That's education and training and getting people to say, oh, is this landfill? You're like, what did
Do I want this in my landfill or do I want it?
and recycle?
And I want to follow that, Councilor Varney, because I love the idea of advertisement and marketing and which is education. So when it comes to businesses, Mr. Zink, would it be helpful to have something like what Councilor Varney said, something that we can even give to businesses that they can even put in their place of business, or is that an overreach?
That's not an overreach. In fact, as part of the, so the flyer that I'm gonna email to you later, there's versions of it that are intended for commercial businesses.
Mhm.
And for their display and education outreach for, what are the new recycling changes? And so I don't think that it would be an overreach of the city to provide some of that information.
And you know what? I would appreciate that only because, we have a growing community of businesses, A, but B, we're making a lot of decisions that include the business community's voice. And so I don't want us to, for example, if we're willing to take money from the business community, to help keep Salem safe and clean, I also think it would be worthy of us to share with them the need when it comes to making sure that folks know how to recycle respectively, and how do we educate the business community? Because I'm not convinced that all business community that they know what to do when it comes to recycle or landfill. Just my 2 cents.
Yeah, so, and correct me if I'm wrong, businesses, or at least the medical office I served in, they become very aware because their trash gets heavier and heavier and they're charged by poundage. And so oftentimes it'll be the business, hey, what can I do? And the first thing might be, let's have you have a cardboard container where you put all of your cardboard in that container versus the trash.
Mhm.
And so there are opportunities, but again, it takes, there's mechanisms of first they have to learn, and then size matters, like if you're an office staff of 5 people, that's different than when you have 100 people.
Right.
But the businesses are always encouraged already to bring in food waste, even if their food waste is just the leftover lunch stuff.
Mhm.
But helping support them, and having information is great. I'm not sure, when I was listening to you, I was thinking you wanted us to bring in trash bins at the city's
no.
cost. Okay, it's like, no, that's
No.
not.
I don't want us to bring on any bins that's going to cost us. I just think that if we are trying our best to keep the business community abreast of the information that we're sharing, then a part of me says we just have to also include them too when it comes to recycling and landfill, because they already are paying for it. And so anyway, I'm just putting that into the space for us to consider.
And it also shows that we're supporting them. We're trying to
Yeah.
help them and support them. So I agree. Thank you.
Madam Chair, can I?
Yes, Nathan.
Benton County Commissioners did approve the expansion of the Coffee Root landfill. So in a way, you can say we might have dodged a bullet, or unfortunately, the landfill still continues, whichever way you look at it. The reality is, I think we have probably 5 more years
Yes.
because of the expansion, if it doesn't get challenged in LUBA and, Court of Appeal.
And then I also saw,
If there's a good start that we can actually have regarding segregation and actual reuse of waste streams,
yes,
I think you folks should start discussing it now. So we will be there in 5 years when the landfill
changes.
finally closes. And we have no other option but to have a costly haul all the way. So if everyone gets used to reducing and
Yes.
reusing, we'll be in a better position than 5 years from now, coming across that situation then.
I know today's Statesman Journal had an article about DEQ finding Coffin Butte and that, again, there's gonna be a lot of pressure. So 5 years might be overestimating. So yes, we do
We
have,
don't have any other option, and then
well, I
it
think,
is the extra cost.
I think our materials management committee or commission has a lot of things that they have to work through, and hopefully these are part of those things, so.
Brian's gonna solve all.
We're not.
Okay.
Good. All right. Any other questions? Counselor Varney, Counselor Brown? All right. So I will adjourn this meeting and see everybody in January. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Yes.